and I am going to talk to you about the books that I read in the month of July. I read six books. Uh, the lowest rated book that I read this month, The Kiss Quotient by Helen Fong. So I gave it a 2.5 stars. There were some good points. The relationships between cousins or siblings were sweet. That description was pretty good, and they acted like normal people. It was good, but the actual romantic love between the two protagonists was uh, meh. Uh, they just did not have any sense of boundaries, like no professional boundaries, no personal boundaries. Uh, they just broke the boundaries left and right without discussion. Lots of misunderstandings, miscommunication, and the saucy part, the sexy time scenes were kind of mm, okay. Just the icky feeling that the constant boundary crossing and illogical decisions, not talking stuff through when other things are talked through and very practically. Some things are just left unsaid for reasons we don't know. So yeah, it was kind of frustrating. It does have some Asian representation, which is good. The woman is richer than the man and more successful. That is a nice shift that was in this book. Let's move on to the next books. Now that we have got this out of the way, let's talk about the good books. The four-star books. First was No Longer Human by Dazai Osamu. It is set in mid 20th century Japan. Uh, it's about these rigid rules of the society, unwritten rules that people must follow. Like they must look a certain way, they must behave a certain way. Uh, a man should like have a wife and then like maintain a proper facade of being a perfect salaryman, part of society, proper contributing man. And the protagonist of this book is a young man who is probably having some psychological problems. He's not able to relate to people, and he's just tired of faking it, and he's depressed, and there is no wiggle room for being different in the society. So he's kind of deemed as no longer human, and it's a depressing book. But I could relate to the book on some level because I lived in Japan, studied in Japan for 2 years, and as a foreigner I was different, and I was also kind of depressed. Where I worked in a retail shop where I got pointed at as a oh, mama, look at the foreigner by little kids, and it was uncomfortable. And being different was difficult when I lived there. So I could relate to this book, so I gave it 4 stars. If you want to learn about Japanese culture or read one of the modern classics, then go for this one. And the next 4-star book was Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. Uh, it is about the racism issues in the US, and this was also a very good eye opener. And it was about this young woman, a young black woman who is a babysitter for a white family. Uh, a sweet dynamic again was between the child for whom she babysat and her herself. Very sweet. The child is sweet and fun, quirky child, uh, and she just uh, like gets stopped by this security guard at a shop, like a supermarket, with the white child. And even though she's a babysitter for the child and she's just taking her to the shop, they just don't believe her because she's not dressed like a babysitter and she's black. And that is very racist. And yeah, and throughout the book, this happens in the beginning of the book, and throughout the book there come out, a lot of issues with people around her, white people around her who uh, either have the savior complex or just do not know that they are being racist, and how there are some toxic patterns of behavior in white people that are racist becomes clear in this book. And the story was entertaining and sometimes very frustrating, but so that was 4 star. Let's get into 5 star books. These were the real gems. The first one was Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. And this book truly can be described a book, if read by people, a lot of people, it can change the world and for the better, definitely. Um, the main character, Miss Dusheko, in this book is an old lady, middle-aged, old-ish lady living in a little Polish village, taking care of the houses, very few houses, maybe 7 or 8 houses. During the winter, when the owners of the houses go and move and into the city, and she loves the nature around her, she loves the animals, and she's obsessed with astrology. She explains away all the things happening around by the position of the stars. She's eccentric, quirky, and she's like warm towards people and animals, and at the same time she's quite uh, like judgmental about people who do not behave ethically, and it's very existential, like all the things going through her mind. And she also loves the poet William Blake, uh, and the title of the book is inspired from one of his poems called Proverbs Proverbs of Hell, I think, and it is a great poem. I read it yesterday, and uh, it was like it had some really good lines. Like one of my favorite lines was, "All wholesome food is caught without a net or a trap," or "The most sublime act is to set another before you." She is kind of living, uh, probably like with this poem, like her, like she embodies the poem in her living. She tries to do the right thing, and her friendships are really nice and warm, and the nature surrounding her, she's like very fond of, and animals, her dogs. It's a lovely book. I would highly recommend it to you. If you are looking to read something very cozy, comforting, at the same time very unsettling. It is existential, dark, and funny. So give it a read if you are looking for something like that. And if you know any other books like these books, then please recommend them to me in the comments. The next 5 star book was Normal People by Sally Rooney. We follow these two main characters as they grow up from high schoolers to adults, and they are two very distinctly different people, different socio-economical classes, and that struggle between that, plus their struggles with capitalism and their views about that, and everything is like described very interestingly. And I liked reading the two characters journeys and their struggles and their triumphs, and how they like sort of grow to love each other and reconcile their differences. Good book. Would recommend it. What was it? Next and the last, but not the least, was a fantastic book called Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. It is a story about this 30-year-old woman who has lot of mommy issues. Yeah, it is depressing. In the beginning, she's very eccentric and she doesn't fit in the society. She just like lives in a bubble, kind of. It includes a lot of themes of depression, shame, loneliness, addiction, And finally, friendship and how this friendship helps Eleanor overcome her problems. It is heartwarming, ultimately, how she overcomes her problems, and I really liked this book. Some parts were really funny, they made me chuckle, and if you are looking for a book to get over a reading slump or just a pick me up in general, if you're feeling a little bit down, then this is a good one to pick up and read. It's a good book, yeah. So these were the books that I read in July, and now I'll quickly tell you about my reading plans in August. So I am already about 70% through the audiobook for In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado. It is a, oh my god, I don't know, it's a very emotional book, and it is about this woman and her past relationship with another woman, which is emotionally abusive, and it's written in such a poetic way, and it's just like so real. Like it's a very good one so far, and I'm going to continue reading it. Then I'm also halfway through The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Then the next book that I'm planning to read, that I've been waiting to read for a while now, is The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. And I have started that one also, like maybe 10% through it. I have this bad habit of starting multiple books at the same time, and sometimes some are left unfinished. That is like the bad thing. But good thing is that I have three books on the way, and in August I'm going to be reading those books. Um and then I'm going to read The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky, and I am also planning to read Tin Man by Sarah Winman, and maybe a couple other books for which the holds from my library come through. Yeah, so that is my August reading plans. So please let me know how did you like the video and what kind of books you read in the month of July. So thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time in my next video. Until then, please take care of yourself, and bye bye. Thank you. Bye.